Hello trucker family, Kevin with the trucker side here, back with our weekly video of the loads we book, the work that we do. Big thanks first of all to everybody who's watching these videos. Thank you so much, guys. I do not have enough words to say how much I appreciate everything, how much our team appreciates your support, the fact that you follow our videos. Thank you for the comments. I do want to specify, and I want to be the first one to specify that we are not even remotely close to being the best. That is not why we do these videos. We do these videos to share our knowledge, to share our work, and we encourage everybody to do the same. So please share your knowledge, share your work with us. We want to see what you got, and we're gonna start with the loads. First off, we have Gary. Gary's hauling a flatbed, had 5 loads this week. That's champion mode right there. Good job, Gary. 5 loads on a flatbed. Don't envy that one, but ooh, look at the rate. Just wait for the rate, wait for it. 5 loads, starting off in Birmingham, Alabama, going to Red Oak, Iowa, 851 loaded miles, paying $4,800 for the average of $564 per mile. 46,000 pounds of steel bundles. Second load of the week, Thayer, Iowa to Ada, Oklahoma, 544 loaded miles, 64 empty miles, paying $1,700 for the average of $313 per mile. 46,000 pounds of miscellaneous construction materials. Third load of the week, 3 out of 5, Wewoka, Oklahoma to Little Rock, Arkansas, 293 loaded miles, 38 empty miles, paying $700 for the average of $239 per mile. 48,000 pounds of bricks. Gary's hauling the heavy load here. That's how you do it, man. Fourth load, 4 out of 5, Carthage, Arkansas to Houston, Texas, 411 loaded miles, 60 empty miles, paying $2,150 for the average of $523 per mile. 48,000 pounds of lumber. 6-foot tarps were required for this load. And then the last load of the week, Houston, Texas to Sherman, Texas, 310 loaded miles, 1 empty mile, paying $1,450 for the average of $468. 48,000 pounds of 40 feet reinforced bars. If you've paid attention, all the loads were heavy. This was not a light week, but it also paid accordingly. Friday to Friday, 7 days of work, Gary grossed $10,800 for the truck for 2,409 loaded miles, 163 empty miles, totaling 2,572 miles, for the average of $448 on the total and 4.20 cents on the, $448 on the loaded and 420 on the total. My bad. Fantastic job. Great work, hard money. Good job everybody. Next off we have Manuel. Manuel is hauling a dry van, had 3 loads this week. Started off in Rosenberg, Texas, going to Oak Creek, Wisconsin. 1,178 loaded miles, paying $3,000 for the average of $255 per mile. 40,000 pounds of chemical products, non-hazmat. Second load of the week, Janesville, Wisconsin to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 984 loaded miles, 67 empty miles, paying $3,000 again for the average of $305 per mile. 42,000 pounds of food products. And then the last load of the week, Picayune, Mississippi, going to Agency Village, South Dakota, 1,324 loaded miles, 106 empty miles, paying $3,300 for the average of $249 per mile. 42,000 pounds of plastic pellets. All in all, 7 days of work, Friday to Friday. Manual grossed $9,300 for the truck for 3,486 loaded miles, 173 empty miles, totaling 3,659 miles, for the average of 267 on the loaded and 254 on the total. Great job, great effort. Then we have Mike. Mike is hauling a reefer. Had 2 loads this week. Started off in Yakima, Washington, going to Tulsa, Oklahoma. 1,847 loaded miles, paying $5,400 for the average of $292 per mile. 42,000 pounds of fresh apples, temperature set between 30 and 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And then for the second load of the week, Mike went back to Oregon from Joplin, Missouri to Tualatin, Oregon. 1,940 loaded miles, 111 empty miles, paying $5,500 for the average of 284 per mile. 43,000 pounds of freight, all kinds. All in all, Tuesday to Tuesday, 7 days of work, Mike grossed $10,900 for the truck for 3,787 loaded miles and 111 empty miles, totaling 3,898 miles for the average of 288 on the loaded and 280 on the total. Well done, Mike. Good job. These miles were driven legally, by the way. It's so many miles because the loads were stretched on long miles, so there was not a lot of time to waste. Mike is a hard runner, so he pulled it off. Good job. Good job, Mike. Good job, dispatch. Next off, we have Patrick. Patrick had 2 loads and broke the bank with the 2 loads. He's hauling a dry van right now. Started off in San Diego, California, going to Xenia, Ohio. 2,183 loaded miles, paying $5,730 for the average of $262 per mile. 25,000 pounds of 3D glasses. That's a lot of glasses in 25,000 pounds, I gotta say. And then the second load of the week, Napoleon, Ohio to Denver, Colorado. 1,205 loaded miles, 139 empty miles, paying $4,185 for the average of $347 per mile. 45,000 pounds of food products. This was a week, Wednesday to Wednesday, 7 days of work. Patrick grossed $9,915 for the truck for 3,388 loaded miles, 139 empty miles, totaling 3,527 miles for the average of 293 on the loaded and 281 on the total. Solid work everybody. Go team. And then the last truck of the week, we have Jay. Jay is hauling a flatbed. Started off, he had 3 loads this week. Started off in Salt Lake City, Utah, going to Bastrop, Texas. 1,320 loaded miles, paying $2,800 for the average of $2.12 per mile. 6,500 pounds of insulation materials. Very light load, nice rate. Second load of the week, Pasadena, Texas to Flagstaff, Arizona. 1,216 loaded miles, 146 empty miles, paying $5,000 for the average of $411 per mile. 37,000 pounds of tubes. And then the last load of the week, Sanders, Arizona, going to Spanish Fork, Utah. 459 loaded miles, 143 empty miles, paying $1,900 for the average of $414 per mile. 30,000 pounds of super sacks of sand. This was a week, Monday to Saturday, 6 days of work. Jay grossed $9,700 for the truck for 2,995 loaded miles, 289 empty miles, totaling, I don't have the total over here, I think it's this one, 3,284 miles for the average of 324 on the loaded and 295 on the total. Good job. Solid work everybody. It has been a great week. Many thanks for everybody who's doing this work. Many thanks for everybody who's watching these videos. Thank you so much. This is Kevin with the Trucker Side. Have a wonderful day.